Hey guys, Fleshtotem here. In this video I have 4 tips, tricks, tactics, whatchamacallits for elemental shamans. These will hopefully help you earn and solidify your raid spot in Nighthold. And it is also important to note that these are not all elemental shaman specific, but casters in general. And hopefully these are things that you're not aware of or haven't really been incorporating into your gameplay. So let's get started. Number 1. It's what I call muscle memory. By muscle memory, I mean pretty much being able to do your rotation perfectly without needing to focus on it like really hard. This will come into play during new boss encounters in Nighthold when you're going to need to be focusing on the new boss mechanics and the strategies for those bosses, and this will really let you keep up your damage without needing to, again, be focusing on your buttons or your cooldowns or your bars as much. You just want to be able to do it naturally and fluidly. So what I recommend is going to a training dummy and just being able to perform your rotation, get extremely used to it. It'll become like second nature to you, or again, like muscle memory. It's like riding a bike. Once you learn how to do it perfectly, you don't think about, oh my gosh, I need to pedal and do all this stuff. You just do it. So again, just practice on a training dummy. With 715, there's a lot of new talent changes and things that really mixed up the class. So get used to it. Then come Nighthold, you can focus on the encounter itself rather than your rotation, and you'll see your numbers will be higher than they normally will be. Number 2 is gaming Elemental Focus. Elemental Focus is a passive. Your direct damage spell critical strikes increase the damage and healing of your next 2 spells by 10%. It's very important to note that the Elemental Shaman tier bonus 4-piece from Nighthold increases this an additional 10%, up to 20%. As you can see, this could be very, very important because you're always going to want to be using your elemental focus to increase the damage of your hardest hitting spells, which is pretty much everything except a lightning bolt. Some of the key ones you always want to do is always refresh your flame shock with elemental focus at less than 9 seconds remaining, and elemental blast, for example, or if you are Ice Fury, your Ice Fury empowered frost shocks, very important. You might need to weave in a lava burst to guarantee an elemental focus because of the crit before you dump your frost shocks. This will add up to a lot of damage, especially once we get our 4-piece, so it's great to start now. One thing to note as well is lava burst will always critical strike, therefore giving you an elemental focus buff, as long as flame shock is on the target. So when you use lava burst and you cast it, it's important to note that you don't gain the elemental focus until after the spell deals its damage. That means if you use a normal lava burst cast, like I'm casting right now, and use an insta cast right after, it will not benefit from elemental focus. So keep that in mind when you're refreshing flame shock or using earth shock or an instant lightning bolt or frost shock. An instant lightning bolt would be, of course, from Stormkeeper. It is very important to note, however, that when you have a lava surge proc, for your lava burst, it is instant cast and the spell releases while the global cooldown is happening. This means the spell will hit the target and get you elemental focus before you cast your next spell, even if it's instant cast, like right there. I was able to cast Flame Shock because it had a lava surge proc and it benefited from elemental focus. Don't change your gameplay up too much for this, just try to keep that in mind and build that muscle memory. Don't ever delay Elemental Blast or anything like that. Just know that after casting a Lava Burst, you can cast an Elemental Blast and it will be buffed every single time. Just keep that in mind and don't overcomplicate it. Number 3, movement. By this I mean like maybe inching your way every global naturally. Just like I was doing right there. You don't need to wait until the boss mechanic comes out and then panic and go, oh my gosh, and move and like do some weird stuff. All you need to do is predict in advance mechanics, and then you can go from there, formulate a plan. Like on Ursak, for example, if you take him clockwise throughout the room, every time you refresh Flame Shock, move. If you have your instant lightning bolts, just go ahead and move that way. Instead of starting to lag behind while the boss is ahead of you and then you need to move a lot at once. This is very important for many different encounters, like Cenarius. If you need to cleanse your debuff that stacks up throughout the fight, just inch your way over to the green things, every cast, whatever you do, just like that, and you'll get there while performing your normal rotation. There's no need for you to stop your rotation entirely just to like gust of wind over there or do whatever. If you plan ahead, you can eliminate a lot of movement from encounters. Also, something to keep in mind that while moving, if you have to, do not spam Flame Shock. I know you can, but it will become a DPS loss. As you look, the duration is reduced when you don't have Maelstrom, as well as it not benefiting from Elemental Focus. If you have to move, that's fine. Just try to get some instant cast down, gust of wind over if you have to, use an Earth Shock, but try to avoid refreshing Flame Shock while you're moving, unless it also benefits from Elemental Focus and you're not lowering the duration. Number 4. Cooldowns and gaming power of the Maelstrom. For cooldowns, I'm mostly going to talk about Ascendance, but again, this works for any DPS spec. Ascendance is a 3-minute cooldown, and let's say you're in an encounter or a fight that lasts 5 minutes. That means no matter what you do, you're only going to get 2 Ascendances off during that fight. Let's just say, for example, you use it on the pull, and then 3 minutes in, your Ascendance is coming off cooldown. You do not need to immediately use it thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta go right now. What you can do is hold on to it for a little bit, depending on the boss fight. Maybe it's better saved for a different phase of the encounter, or better saved when you know you won't need to move. Like maybe a mechanic just came out and then you're safe for 15 seconds. Boom, that's when you pop Ascendance. And then you just go from there. You do not need to use it right away. Make sure to set yourself up for success, seeing as Ascendance is very powerful and is a huge burst window for you, and using it properly is make or break for good DPS. Now, the same thing works for Stormkeeper. I just used it, so I can't really use it right now. But keep in mind that when you have Power of the Maelstrom, the next 3 Lightning Bolts or Chain Lightnings are empowered and do 3 times the damage. When it comes down to the end of a fight, let's say there is about 40 seconds left on a boss encounter, and your Stormkeeper is coming off of cooldown. You do not need to use it right away, as long as you do not miss a use in the entire fight. If you're using it the same amount of time, as long as you do not miss that use. Again, very important. But you can save it a little bit and fish for a Power of the Maelstrom proc. If you know the boss is going to die in 40 seconds, you can just keep going with your rotation, hope to get a Power of the Maelstrom proc. I'm not getting one right now, but it doesn't do any harm to wait and then use it afterwards and try to benefit from it. It can add up to an extra couple million damage. So this is pretty much all I got for you guys today. I hope these little tips or tricks were useful for you guys, or something that you can just practice or focus on. And yeah, so if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I would love to answer any of them that you have, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much.